Hello everyone, my name is Lucifer and welcome to my channel. Today the video, like the name says, is about defenders, one of the classes that we use in this game. In my opinion, defenders are probably the class that I pay less attention. Why? Because this is a damage dealer game. If you kill the enemies fast enough, what will happen is that you don't need to heal anyone and you don't need to defend anything because the enemies will be dead. But in this specific situation, I want to speak about defenders for a very simple reason. In the future, in the Immortal Codex, we will have a boss that you need defenders. Why? Because basically it's a wave of enemies that goes against the boss, and these enemies are suffering damage by themselves, so you don't need to kill them. What you do need is to block them. Okay, another thing is that I see a lot of people having defenders and using it in the wrong way, so I will give a little bit of a showcase of my favorite defenders and how do I use them and how do I have them geared. Okay, nothing special, just a quick video explaining a few things about defenders. So if we come to my account now, and understand my account is a very stacked account, it's an account that have probably almost all the defenders. I don't have Gan and I don't have King of Hearts, but basically all the others I have. So about the defenders I use more is Captain Reeve. Captain Reeve is an exclusive defender that was released in the beginning of the game when it was released in global server, and it was an exclusive like Falcia and Gwen. You had the possibility to pull 250 shards. If you didn't get it until the 250, you got it for guarantee. I get lucky. I got him. For me, he's a great defender. And how I'm gearing up my defenders. First of all, on the left side, I try to use the Immortal Warrior set. Why? Because it will give me 20%, 25% HP, and it will give me 10% defense. What I try to do is that I try to put my defenders with a high HP. So in this case, I have 112k HP, but at the same time, I want him to have some defense. Why? Because this way he will be a lot more tanky, and it will be easier for him to keep, for me to keep him alive. So in this case, I'm using it on the right side, the Guardian set, that for me it's basically the best set for a tank and has a reduction of all damage received by 15%, what is very, very good. This is my Captain Reeve. I will show you another example. Another example that I use a lot is Regulus. Again, in this case, I'm using the Life Force set on the left side, 25% HP. Why? Very simple. You can see the rolls in these pieces are very, very good. And what happens is that you always go stats over sets. So in this case, I have very good rolls, as you can see. And for that reason, I keep in sets that for me are not the best ones, but the stats are very, very good. If you can see, 180k, almost 10k defense. He's a very, very tanky defender. I have a few other defenders that I don't use a lot. Another that I use a lot is Brokir. For me, probably is one of the best defenders in the game, for the simple reason that he can survive for a long time by himself. He has the option that gains a freeze and shield equal to 100%, 120% of his max HP. So it's a very strong ability, and his passive is very strong, because what happens is that if he receives damage, has an 11% chance to inflict freeze to 2 enemies. So it's very strong, because you are not only increase your survivability, you are giving some crowd control, what reduce the damage you are receiving, because if the enemies are freezing, they are not attacking you. So it's very important. It's probably one of the best defenders in the game. In gear, you can see very similar stats, over 100k HP, a very good amount of defense. That means he's a very tanky defender. Orim is a little bit different. Orim is a new type of defender. To be honest, I tried him a little bit and I didn't found his space in the game. His abilities don't go very well with defenders, and he doesn't do enough damage to be built as a fighter, so a little bit strange. Another one is Azor. Azor, you have here a different opinion in the community. He's a defender that do damage using defense instead of attack. So the idea is to build him with a lot of defense and not so high HP, and to give him stats to give some damage. I tried him, I don't like him. This is not the best gear at all. I tried him with a lot of HP, I tried him with a lot of defense. To be honest, he's not my favorite hero. Maybe it's my fault. I don't use him in the best way, I don't use him in the correct way. Very possible. I don't like him that much. The community is a little bit divided, because you have a lot of players that, like me, they don't like him, and a lot of players that say that in the end game he's very good. I'm in the end game, and the three tanks that I use more is probably Regulus, Reeve, and Oleg, that we will see in a little bit. About the epic tanks, like we speak about Oleg, probably considered by many one of the best tanks in the game. He's very good. You can see, because he's an epic, it's difficult to put his stats as high as a legendary tank. But you can see mine, he has almost 100k HP, almost 7k defense. He's a very tanky tank, and has it's everything about his skills. His skills are very simple. He's a very simple tank. Basically, you drop him, after a few seconds he starts to pop shields, so he survives. So what happened is that, for me, this is the most important part of his kit. It's wrong, it's not 11 seconds, it's 10 seconds. Every 11 seconds or 10 seconds creates a shield that can absorb a damage equal to 85% of his max HP. So that means that every 10 seconds he's popping a shield. That is super important, because in that moment you have 85% of his HP in a shield. That means he's constantly popping this shield. This is probably the most important part of his kit, and he's a very simple kit. In his ultimate, what will happen is that if he uses his ultimate, first he will stop popping shields, so the passive will stop during this period. And what will happen is that first he will block one more enemy, so that is very, very useful. If you see that you are being overwhelmed, you pop, he is blocking one more, and he will have a physical damage reduction. So he will receive less damage during this period. So it's a very simple kit. He suffers less damage and he pops shields. Easy. With him, I'm using the North's Wheel artifact. Why? Because in my opinion, it synergizes very well with his hit. When the shield disappears, he will restore 15% of his HP. Very simple. He's constantly popping shields. The shield disappears. He will get a 15 HP heal. And then he gets a new shield. The shield disappears and he gets a new heal. So basically he can self-sustain for a while without need of a healing constantly. So for me, this is very important, helps me a lot in hard content. So this is what I use. Now I will show you the artifacts that I use in most of my tanks. I didn't speak about Toreador. Toreador is a very specific type of tank. Mine is a mix of a damage dealer and a tank. So you can see he has 82k of HP and around 14k attack. He can do pretty good damage and he's very, very tanky too. So he's a different type of tank. In this case, most of my tanks use this artifact, Bastion Ring. Increase block by 1, increase physical damage reduction and magical damage reduction by 9% for every blocked unity, stacking up to 4 times. So most of these defenders can block 3 enemies. But now, using this artifact, all of these tanks are blocking 4 enemies. That is very, very important in the hardened content. So that means they are not only blocking more enemies, they are increasing their physical damage reduction and their magical damage reduction. So this is really, really important. And you can see my Regulus uses 1 as well. My Reeves uses 1. Brock here is not using this specific one because he has one that basically do the same thing, increases block by 1. So his exclusive artifact, I had luck when I did the last Nightmare Void Reach and I got it. So increases the block by 1, so that part it's do the same thing as the other artifact. But what happened is that every time he applied with freeze, the hero restores 10% HP and increased his defense by 10%. So that means this artifact for him specifically is better because he will have a self-sustain. So he will heal himself and at the same time he will increase his tankiness with this 10%. So basically, most of my tanks, and they work perfectly, I go for main stats of HP. Now I will show you, for example, in this case, HP, HP, HP. What I try to do is try to find HP with defense bonus as a substat. HP with defense bonus as substat. So this way, what you are doing is that you are increasing your HP, and for me in a tank, that is my personal opinion, the HP is the most important, but a healthy amount of defense, it will help you a lot because it will make your defender more tanky. So it will be easier for him to be healed. So that is very important. You have very good defenders in the Epic too. For me, for example, Aveline is a very good defender. She has the particularity that she originally can block 4 enemies, so it's a very good ability. She can do stuns too, and she at the same time she can heal herself. So I think for the Immortal Codex that is coming, with the new boss that we will need tanks, Aveline can be a very good option. So if you have it, and if you want to if you think that you need to build one more tank, think about her. For what I know, in the Forerunner server, Aveline is being in the top teams for this new boss, so maybe it's a good option. For what I understand, another good option is Baron. Baron because has the shield, and at the same time he has this unwielding state that prevent him to die. So what happened is that all his kit is to keep him alive and more time in the battlefield. That is what you want in these bosses. So again, my Baron, where I went again with high HP, he has almost 100k with some defense. 5.6 is not amazing, but he do his job very well. He's using a Bastion Ring, not level 25, but at level 10. So about tanks, basically this is what I want to speak, give you a little bit of an overall, how I build my tanks, what I feel it's the best set for the tanks, and some ideas how you can build them in the future for the new boss. So I hope this video it was useful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you a wonderful week.